JJK 268. It's official. The gauntlet is over. We're currently in the victory lap. This is what do you call this? The epilogue when it's over and it's kind of like the victory dance. We're probably gonna get some heartfelt moments, and then this is it. Jujutsu Kaisen is over. So when you read this chapter, tell me what you made of this chapter.
This chapter just cemented what we all thought, which was going in a direction of the conclusion. Sukuna kind of started to die out as he is a curse, and cursing Yuji. What I found odd though was Yuji, and maybe it's symbolic for Yuji being enlightened in terms of how he felt towards Sukuna, because he was like, hey, you can live on with me. And in the sense of, it was giving me Goku Naruto vibes, right? Luffy vibes, I guess. But it was pretty odd because of what Sukuna had done to Yuji all the way up into this point and how Yuji really felt about Sukuna. So that was kind of uncharacteristic like, but I guess I can see why Gege wrote it the way he wrote it, just to kind of show that change in development within Yuji. Of course, the big three, you know how I feel about that quote unquote big three. They're there, talking with each other. And then it ends with them stating that they have to go and see Yuta, so to speak, right? They have to save Yuta from quote unquote them, which I assume they're referring to Panda and the rest of them. That was kind of a bit weird to me, but how about you? What did you make of it?
Yeah, so I like the chapter, right? I've kind of come with reality, and I've made my peace with. I'm not going to get a lot of things that I wanted to get out of Jujutsu Kaisen, right? So having made my peace with that, I like where we're at. I'm happy the three of them are back together. They all experienced this catastrophe from a different standpoint, right? Nobara was out for a while because this is not why she was out, but to be honest, I don't think she was strong enough to last in the midst of the fight. She had to come at this point or else she would have got clipped. Like for real, for real. It wouldn't have been the alleged Mahito clipping. This would have been really, she would have got clipped, right? Megami experienced it from the side of Sukuna taking over his body, and Yuji, experienced it from his side, having to ascend to be the one to finally defeat Sukuna, which is poetic in its own standpoint, based on where they started and then learning their back history. Right. So I think I'm all cool with that. That's all good. I really like the Gojo notes. I like the one that he left to Megami. I thought that was funny. But what it really told me is, and I still believe Gojo to this day when Gojo says, like, yo, I would win. I really do think that's how he felt. But I think it shows the respect that he had for Sukuna, and that he showed, being like such a great sensei, he couldn't let his students waver, right? He needed them to keep that belief up in him, and then that inherently like flowed over to them believing in themselves that, what, we can do this. You know what I'm saying? But I think he knew the danger that he was walking into, and he knew the possibilities could have actually went either way.
Yeah.
Or, so I do believe him that he thought he would win. But I do think at the same time, he understood, hey, I think I'm gonna win, but it can also go this way. And I think that's why we see those notes. And I think that just told a lot about Gojo himself just being a realist. You know what I'm saying? Like he may be cocky, but he's not an idiot.
I agree with that, unless of course Gege somehow writes in the next chapter and shows a flashback between Yuji and Gojo, and the conversation goes, Yuji, and he tells Yuji, hey, I don't think I'm gonna win, but that's why I'm writing this. That would be crazy. But I agree with you. I think that's the main reason. He was smart enough to know the possibility could be there that he could lose. So
yeah, if that were to happen, bro, I don't think I would ever discuss JJK again. Again, bro. Like,
that would be so bad. But at this point, I wouldn't even put it past Giga, especially after that airport scene, man. But shit, man.
So let me before I get into the YouTube thing, which is very interesting to me, I'm gonna ask you this question. So now that it's almost at an end, is from your standpoint, is he Satoru Gojo because he's the strongest, or is he the strongest because he's Satoru Gojo? And we're also gonna make a poll of this as well, because I want to hear what everyone has to say.
He is the strongest because he's Satoru Gojo.
Okay.
What about you?
I would have to agree with that.
As we can see, I'm not gonna lie, he's him. He's him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was impressed with like his fight with Sukuna, regardless of how people feel about, my stance won't change in terms of I felt like Sukuna needed, Megami and Maharaga to beat and bypass Infinity and beat Gojo
Mhm.
ultimately, right? But I was very impressed with his hand-to-hand combat against Sukuna and how he held his own easily against even in a 3v1 battle.
Yeah,
And how he immersed himself in the battle. When Gojo has those crazy eyes, like he just
yeah.
was like, and how he's pulling all the stops. And it seemed like his knowledge on JJK with cursed energy and repairing his brain, he was even a step ahead of Sukuna. Sukuna would just has this innate ability to learn during the battle, and he was just
Mhm.
stealing things from Gojo as a
Yeah,
result.
yeah.
So that showed me that, and then of course when we see Yuta take over Gojo's body, we're
Right.
seeing exactly what happened. Which
Right. You got the
you
car,
know
but you can't drive it the same. You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, I would have to agree. I think he's the strongest because he's Satoru Gojo. And but like I said, I think on the channel we're probably gonna make a poll of this because I want to hear what people have to say. Gojo's story is concluded, right? There's no more hope of him coming back. There's no more anything, even though I think it's been over for a while, but the story is about to be over. So I think that's a question that can be answered. But going into Utah now, when they say, "Oh, we have to save them," obviously, I don't think Utah's in real danger. Anyone's going to physically harm him. But my interpretation of that was they're about to give him a lot of flack for what he did in terms of taking Gojo's body and how unethical it may have been. That was just my interpretation. I just wondered
Yeah,
how you interpreted that.
I interpreted it the same exact way, especially when you look at the bottom panel. It seemed like it was more of like a joke, like it wasn't to be
Mhm,
taken serious. So it was just more so like them to kind of scrutinize him from my standpoint, more so putting himself in danger, right?
mhm,
Like you crossed the line, but you risked yourself for almost no reason. And I'll
mhm.
probably have to agree, clearly, as we can see, right? When curse technique ended or got burnt out and he collapsed, it was the end for him, essentially. It kind of
Yeah,
was like, okay, now it's kind of over. And it kind of begs the question, why did you even have to take over Gojo's body to begin with, right? So there's a lot of you know,
yeah,
um, I would say questions regarding that. Like, why did he take over Gojo's body if it didn't move the plot further?
yeah,
But then again, maybe it's just one of those situations where Yuta just wanted to do it because he thought that was the best course of action to take to buy time, right? So
yeah. And that, I guess at that time in the story though, his body needed to try to be saved, and they had already worked on Gojo's body. So I guess for Yuta to insert himself back in the fight somehow, that was the quickest way to do it versus
yeah,
waiting
but
for
then
them
it's
to.
like,
Yeah,
but in that instance, I would ask you, did he even need to go back into the battle, right? Especially if Nobara could have just used her seance ability, right? Like,
right,
did
right,
he
right,
really come back? Was it really necessary for him to come back, right? I
right.
think that's probably the
Mhm.
question you need to know. Now, if you answer yes, then okay, I get it, right? But if you answer
Yeah,
no, it's like, all
and I
right,
mean, I think the only thing he did was maybe have kind of threw Sukuna off a little bit mentally, but I don't think he had an overall impact to the ending, right? That was all Yuji, and then
yeah,
Navarro comes in, but it was really just Yuji overpowering. Like, listen,
yeah,
where you are currently is not where I'm at currently. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
So I
absolutely.
guess I kind of agree. Maybe Yuta wasn't needed, even though I will still say that Yuta in this fight after Gojo is my next up in terms of MVP voting, but he
Yeah.
probably wasn't needed for that moment. But and I remember, so Gojo's body fell. The curse technique wore off. So you think next time we see Yuta will be in Yuta's body?
Good question. I would think so. I mean, based off of just the way the story's going, right? The big
Mhm,
threes you reunited, Utah's still alive. I think that's the natural progression. Him just returning back into his own body. He's somehow transferring it back because they have ample opportunity. I don't know if the culling games is still in effect because they didn't show them changing the rules to end the culling games. That part I'm kind of confused about. I don't know. Maybe Gege just forgot or he just got rid of it, or maybe he's gonna discuss it next chapter. Who knows at this point?
mhm.
But I would think that's probably the natural progression. So
And then yeah, because I guess Hakari was still there. Because I was gonna say technically isn't Megami the winner as the last person standing because Yuji was supposed to be out of it when he fake died, right, to Yuta, but
But then you
Harmony's
have
still there. So yeah, this that does my theory doesn't check out. It doesn't
yeah,
check
and
out.
it's so many other people still alive. It's like it just doesn't. I don't know. They maybe just headcanon. They just what they somehow changed the rules, like how Kenjaku did previously, and they just didn't show it, which would be very disappointing because we went through the whole Culling games, the rules, and then for you to
Mhm.
just do away with it last minute. I don't know, because you just want to wrap up the series as quickly as possible. I don't know. It's pretty weird, but hopefully we'll
Yeah,
see it next chapter.
very weird. I guess the only other question I have is because I can't come up with any kind of theory, any speculation from your standpoint why Kenjaku's able to use his curse technique the way he can, and people can't replicate that.
See, I don't know. I thought we was gonna get an answer to that, but unfortunately, we did not get an answer to that. So for me, maybe but has something to do with Kenjaku utilizing more than one curse technique at a time. I don't know, man. He's lived for so long. It's really hard to tell. Maybe the curse technique was really imprinted in his own consciousness, his soul, maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know. But then if that's the case, then he could take over Yuji's body, which is not the case. I mean, Yuta's body, which is not the case. So I really don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish we would have had the answer to that, but
Yeah. I can't seem to figure that one out. I don't have a good theory. I'm sure there's some theory on the internet. I'll go look it up after this. But anybody watching this video, if you have a theory in the comment section, tell us why do you think Kenjaku is able to use his curse technique and no one else can replicate it to that facet. And then also just give us your feedback on the chapter. What did you make of the chapter? You know, the lights at the end of the tunnel. Do you like where it's going? Are you kind of disappointed that it's ending now? Make sure you jump in the comment section and like and subscribe.